Welcome back to the 36th episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, Mike Gordon.
Howdy! All ready for season 2.
Yes, I'm kind of excited about this season because I'm hoping to come across more episodes that I recognize.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Yeah.
recognize tonight's episode.
I uh I had completely forgotten about tonight's episode. So yeah, when I was watching it, and I had no idea. And people wonder, maybe this is, going behind the weeds a little bit as far as how we do the show. But I know that we watch the show differently. I have the DVDs, or the Blu-rays rather, and I know you watch them digitally. So you probably have a better idea when you first start watching an episode who's going to be in it and whatnot. Whereas I just put the DVD in and hit play, and then and whoever's there is there. I try not to look ahead, so because I don't want anything spoiled for me. We even record these, so that we keep the cliffhanger, um, with about a week in between. So we don't know when we record the first part how the second part's going to be, how it's going to end up. So, and I like that. I like that a lot. I like the fact that, I mean, back when these aired, it was just a couple of days that they had to wait, or the next day, I think, right?
Yeah, it was the
Wasn't it?
next
Yeah.
day. Yep.
And so we're waiting a week. So we're waiting a little bit longer than they did in the 60s, but I like to keep that intact. So, but yeah, but I had no idea. I had no idea who the big bad was going to be. We got a new season, right, fresh off the big hit movie that came out, and I was not prepared for the villain that we got for the opening episode of the second season. I was very surprised.
I got to tell you, I usually know who the villain's going to be before I start watching it because I do the show notes before I start watching it. So,
Yeah, I try to
but
save all of that until afterwards. So
I can tell you I didn't recognize this villain at all. So
yeah, well, we'll get into it. So yeah, it'll be really interesting. It'd be cool. I'm glad that these are. I was reminded after watching this, because I have seen all the episodes at one point. I did a complete watch a number of years ago, but it's been long enough that there's holes in my memory, and certainly this one was one of them. And I mean, even though I remember, I was like, oh yes, I remember that this happened, but I didn't know specifics, and it wasn't like a spoiler filled thing. So, but yeah, it was a big surprise to me. So let's get started without further ado, because people are waiting.
yep. All right. So this is Batman season 2, episode 1, Shoot a Crooked Arrow. Episode aired Wednesday, September 7th, 1966, directed by Sherman Marks and written by Stanley Ralph Ross.
Even though we're in season 2, we're still in 66. It's still 66 Batman. It's not 67 Batman yet. It's still 66 Batman.
All right, so let's dive into this recap. Bruce Wayne is having a meeting with Mr. Dale about Wayne Foundation business, while Dick Grayson is practicing the piano under Aunt Harriet's watchful eye. Suddenly, an arrow hits the piano and orange gas shoots out into the room. All four pass out from the knockout gas.
So do we count this as another Alfred? No, because Alfred's not there. He's the only one that doesn't get gas this time.
Yes, he's at the grocery store or something, I think they say.
Yeah, yeah. So he's the only one that doesn't get gas for a change.
Second arrow hits a painting and explodes, blowing open the safe beneath it. The
Painting
archer,
of Bruce Wayne's great grandfather, which we've
I
seen
think we've
before.
seen that. Yeah, I was going to say we've seen that painting before.
Yep,
I think I was in a different place though.
Probably. Yeah, because I don't, this room didn't seem familiar to me.
The Archer, Little John, and Crier Tuck steal the cash from the safe. Later on, the Archer and his gang throws the cash to the poor of Gotham. When the Gotham PD show up, the Archer hits them with sneezing powder. Back at Wayne Manor, Chief O'Hara is interviewing Bruce Wayne about the robbery. Alfred interrupts, letting Mr. Wayne know that there is business in the study that needs attending. And I'm going to stop right here because when Alfred answers the hotline, he seems a little irritated. I don't know if you
Again,
caught that. I thought you caught that. I was wondering if you caught that or not.
not this time. It didn't seem as apparent to me. But I mean, Alfred's like, look, the police are already like are right here in the next room. Like, why are you calling?
In the study, Commissioner Gordon informs Batman that the Archer has struck again.
He informs
Batman,
Bruce. Let's get that straight.
well, he thinks it's Batman. He's as far as Commissioner Gordon's concerned, he's talking to Batman,
That's true. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're right.
which is why I said he informs Batman that the Archer has struck again.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Sorry, that was my bad.
Batman replies that he's aware that Bruce Wayne has been robbed. It's
It's
his
like,
business to know.
how did you know that?
It's my business to know.
Don't question me, Commissioner. Yeah, that was said with a little bit of attitude. Like,
Yes, it was.
I did get a little bit of attitude that it's my business to know, Commissioner. Don't question me. I'm keeping
So,
my alter ego secret, buddy.
so when they go to the, of course, they go to the bat poles and stuff, and I noticed there was no change in the beginning, as far as I could tell,
Same
from
footage,
season one. Yep,
same footage. Not
same
even they didn't
stock.
even incorporate movie footage.
No, we didn't see any the flipping of the switch that we saw in the movie. That
Nope,
wasn't in there.
nope.
It was the same stock footage they always use for the television show.
Same stock footage, same same bat show. Yeah, they haven't really seen. We haven't really gotten the benefits of the movie yet at this time yet. So
I'm
at
sure
least
that's
not
coming
not at the
soon.
beginning of this, right? So yeah.
At police headquarters, the Archer strikes again, firing a magnesium flare arrow into Commissioner Gordon's desk. Batman, Robin, Commissioner Gordon, Chief O'Hara, and Mr. Addison are temporarily blinded. Archer beats them with his quarterstaff and warns them not to interfere with him robbing of the rich and giving to the poor. The Archer and it,
Mr. Dale, isn't it?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, what I said, Mr. Addison, didn't I? Where
Yeah,
did I
you
get
did.
Mr. Addison from?
I
You're
don't
right.
know.
It's
I was like, wait, it's the same guy, right?
That's what I get for doing my notes at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, they didn't I don't know how this is gonna play out, listeners and watchers. I don't know how this is gonna play out, but I get the feeling that there's something up with Mr. Dale, like Alan A. Dale. Like I think he's in on it, in some way, but because he seems pretty shifty.
He does seem shifty, didn't he? Especially when he was talking with Bruce at the mansion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's full of attitude, like, no, we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna do that. And like he's very demanding as far as what they will and will not do. But and he's not completely out of line, but yet he does have a certain attitude. And there's just something about him. And I think the fact that, look, I know my Robin Hood characters, and Alan A. Dale is, I think, a reference to a actual Robin Hood character, so would make sense that he would be part of his gang. But we do not see that in that play out. So as far as we know, and that's just a suspicion that I have.
The Archer and his gang escape out the window using a rope arrow to escape. Once they recovered their sight, Batman and Robin descend the bat rope, chasing after the archer. As they are descending the building, a man pops their head out the window, asking who they are. I didn't recognize that actor, or were we supposed to know who that was?
That was Dick Clark.
That was Dick Clark. I didn't. I,
Dick.
I didn't even recognize him.
Wow. That was probably one of the most recognizable figures like ever. Yeah, that is Dick Clark, man. This
I'm
is
gonna have to. I'm gonna have to watch that again because I didn't catch that. I didn't even recognize his voice.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's Dick Clark because that's why he asked him about like, do you guys do music? Are you guys a music group? And he talks
Oh,
about how
that
he's from Philly, he's in Philadelphia, and the whole thing about the diphthong and all that kind of stuff. Like that's why they play on that. Yeah, Dick Clark was at the time huge celebrity as the host of American Bandstand and other things as well. I don't know if he was doing the Rocket New Year's Eve at that time. That's a good question whether or not I don't know how old that program is, but man, he was pretty big. I mean, this is a second cameo that we get, right? This is a second
yeah,
sort of appearance, celebrity appearance that we got. Now,
because we
I was
only
what
got one during season one, if I remember right.
only one, correct, which is shocking to me. I did not realize that was that started happening so late in the show's run. And that one was Jerry Lewis, right? So
Yeah,
he was huge. I mean, Dick Clark is not on Jerry Lewis's level of A-list talent celebrities, but he's up there, I would think. And when we reviewed the movie last week, and one of the things that when I was watching the movie, I watched a lot of the bonus material, and there was interviews with Adam and everybody else that were involved with the movie and the show on the DVD. And one of the things that Adam said in the interview was that they had during the course of the show, they had 250 appearances by celebrities, like guest appearances. And
that's a lot.
I was like, Adam, there wasn't even 250 episodes. So like, don't like, I mean, that's why whenever I see Adam doing an interview about anything, rest in peace, um, you just can't take what he says with any sort of actual truth. Like he's always embellishing things, always embellishing things. And usually it's at someone else's expense. And yet, so I think I don't think we talked about this last week when we talked about the movie, but there is appearance by someone while they're climbing in the movie as well, but it's like nobody, like it's not a celebrity. It's just a character, maybe a character actor of I can't even remember his name. I mean, it was not anything really a big deal. And you think for the movie they could have gotten somebody like really big and it would have been amazing, but they did not. So I don't know why. I don't know if they just hadn't caught on yet to that kind of thing. But yeah, my since season two starts with Dick Clark, I'm guessing that we're going to get this now pretty frequently. Um, we'll see how much it trickles in, but I would imagine now that the writers are going to have to write a scene where they're either ascending or descending down a building in every other episode, if not every episode pretty soon. Because I mean, we're not going to get to the level of 250. No, Adam. But I do remember it happening pretty frequently when I watched the show before, and my memories of the show, so we'll see. So, but it was cool. Yeah, it's amazing that you didn't recognize Dick Clark, but I mean, look, he's been out of the limelight for a while. He's not been with us for a while, so I get it. But man, yeah, and he's pretty young here.
Yeah, he
Although,
is.
the big joke is that he never aged, right?
Yeah. Holy Houdini! When Batman and Robin reach the ground, Archer and his gang have disappeared. Batman stops a
Right, we should put that
Trojan.
in quotes, right? Because there just happens to be. Go ahead, tell us.
Batman stops a Trojan hearse company truck. He
Yeah.
asks the driver, a woman who is eating a piece of fried chicken, if she's seen three men riding on horseback through this neighborhood. The
Ah,
woman
Maid
laughs.
Maryland.
The woman laughs and tells Batman he has been working too hard. Batman thanks her and sends her on her way.
The incomparable Barbara Nichols is Maid Maryland. This is kind of the first time we get a villain's mall who's not exactly like what we've gotten before in the first season. This one is full of attitude. Let's put it that way, right? Like
Yep.
she has definitely got some attitude, some personality. And I think it's funny because the season finale with the Penguin and the first season finale with the Penguin, I think we commented that that one had a lot of like let's say it had a lot of stuff in there for the dads watching. Because it was the pageants and all the models and all the stuff that was going on. Like there was a lot of eye candy in that one. So maybe they just OD'd on all the eye candy before, and so they decided not to be that heavy in it. Nothing against Barbara Nichols. But she certainly doesn't come across as looking that attractive when she's eating this piece of, and it's not even a wing. It's just like this. It's like a huge piece of meat that she's eating.
It looked like a chicken leg.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And a pretty sizable one too. Like I said,
Mm.
it's not just a wing.
This isn't the only time we see her eating throughout I think she's like eating almost the whole time she's on camera, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. I think you're right. So, but yeah, she's great. She's a hoot. Um, and yeah, that's she unceremoniously tells the dynamic duo to kind of buzz off.
The criminal's lair, we see the woman truck driver, Maid Marilyn, cooking food over an open fire. Archer
Now,
and his,
I got a question for you. We should have tracked this, but I really uh, like it really was apparent to me watching this episode that they really did an extreme angle on the villain's lair. Like I don't remember when they started implementing that. I think I remember reading that they started implementing that in the movie.
yeah, I remember the
So
movie, it definitely in the movie because they're, it always felt like their hideout was crooked.
exactly. I mean, it was a great, visual device to use. Is that every time you saw the criminals in their lair, it was at a crooked angle, and I love that visual. But to be honest with you, I think I just either got so used to, like, I don't remember it. I don't know when it started. I know that when the season one started, it was not implemented yet. But I really noticed it here. So I'm thinking that it starts here, but I could be wrong about that. So I'll see if I can do some research on that before when we do record it for episode two, because I mean, it just really struck me when they when they went down there, or they showed it. And it was just at the stream angle, and I'm like, okay, this is new, this is cool. I'm glad they're doing this. This is awesome.
Archer and his gang arrive worried about a machine that Batman has in his Batcave that can predict a criminal's next move. Archer wants to learn the location of the Batcave so he can destroy that machine.
And it's interesting. Yeah, because I don't know. There's nothing in Batman's behavior to suggest that he knows exactly when crimes are going to happen. Like there's nothing in the history that we've seen so far to even remotely suggest that Batman has a clue as to like when things are going to happen. He always responds, "Well, that's not true." Sometimes he does like detective work and they show up and they meet him there. But yeah, the idea that he has a computer that can predict when criminals are going to hit is a little out of left field for me, but okay. I mean, he's got everything else in that Batcave for computers, so I can understand why he would think that, but um, and I want to take a moment here. I don't know if you have it in your notes, but we really haven't talked about Art Carney as the Archer yet. So we talked about Barbara Nichols just now, so I think it's only fair that we give some time to the main man, the big bad in this one in this storyline, which is the Archer, played by Art Carney. Art Carney, noticeably, I mean, he was mostly known for his run on the Honeymooners, but he has a quite an accomplished career outside of that, but that's probably what most people, or even at this time, knew him from. A very funny actor. He was, like I said, he was in a sitcom for decades almost, and so he was known as his comedy. Um, I tell you what, as we kind of pointed out in the beginning, when I first started watching this, I did not expect that I had completely forgot that the Archer existed and Art Carney played a bad guy in this show. And I think as we talk about the story, we'll save the final thoughts for the second part. But it does kind of seem like if I was really excited after seeing the movie and the first season and I couldn't wait for the show to come back and this is the season 2 premiere. I don't know that I'm like so excited to see the Archer. Now, the Archer is from the comics.
I was wondering that. I don't remember ever seeing him in the comics, but
Well, that's because he was not a Batman villain. He made his debut in Superman number 13 in December 1941. Uh, so there was a lot going on then. Uh, um, he's
if
a
you
super.
if you would have said he was a Superman villain, I would have never guessed it.
He is a Superman villain. Does not look at all like a Robin Hoodish type character like he does in the show. Um, he. I don't think he appears much after that. I don't. To be honest with you, I don't know. I've never seen him before in the comics either. I was very surprised to learn that he was actually a bad guy in the comics because as much as I love Robin Hood, um, Batman's already got a Robin Hood type figure, and that is Robin. So, so the idea of having a bad guy is interesting to me. This is the second time they've used a actual historical figure, we'll say, loosely. I know that Robin Hood's basically more of a legend than an actual person, but an actual figure. But I think there's some truth to the legends, right? As far as we know. In any case, and made him a bad guy. Like, this is not now this guy's not been hit on the head, so he doesn't think that he's, something that he's not. And, as much as we see him rob from the rich to give to the poor, we'll find out pretty quickly that that's not his main goal. But yeah, and I gotta say, Art Carney is it's a weird mix here. I don't know that it works completely yet. But then with this is only the first part. It doesn't help that his henchmen seem like they're old and not very useful. Um, Doodles Weaver as Crier Tuck, man. I just am like, where did they find this guy? Like, he does not strike me as a guy that you want to have in the thick of things. But Big John, played by Lauren Ewing is pretty cool. But yeah, kind of a weird bunch of characters they have here. So not exactly intimidating though. Although the arrow stuff is pretty cool, and when they break into as you mentioned before, police headquarters and are wearing the Geordie masks. Sorry, the visors. I was like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty badass. Um, and then they go down the building and all that. I thought that's a pretty bold statement. I don't think we've seen too many other. We've only seen I can only remember a couple times where we've seen villains kind of bust up police headquarters. So
All right.
your thoughts on Archer so far?
Um, I don't know. I when I started watching the episode, I was like, so this is who we're kicking off season two with. It was disappointing. I'll have to say that.
Yeah. Now, Art
They,
Carney's a pretty big name. So I could guess, to get viewers, I'm sure, advertising that Art Carney was the big bad was pretty significant ratings wise. So I think that's a piece that we're kind of missing now watching it. But yeah, I definitely think that it was just kind of like, oh man, I was hoping it was going to be like one of the main four or something, but I guess after the movie, we might get a break from them or something. I don't know. We'll see. So, but yeah, but I mean, and that's not to say that it won't pan out because there's some interesting things that happen here. So go ahead, keep on going through the episode because there's some cool stuff happening, I think.
Maid Marilyn calls Commissioner Gordon, dialing the phone with the piece of chicken that she is eating. Marilyn tells Commissioner Gordon that the Archer is going to be distributing money to the poor at the corner of Neptune Avenue and 20th Street at precisely 4 o'clock. Archer and his gang rob Everett Bannister, coin machine king. They pin him to the wall with arrows and then steal all his coins. Batman and Robin show up at the corner of Neptune Avenue and 20th Street at 4 o'clock to find Archer and his gang distributing the coins. Batman and Robin battle the gang while Maid Marilyn has the crowd boo from the sidelines. We get the onomatopoeia words such as zappeth, thack, oxeth, whammeth,
Yeah, they're
clunketh,
they're in Old English,
rape.
which I they're kind of like this faux Old English font, and even the font, is really like Old English stuff. So I gotta give the graphics people credit for that. That was a pretty nice touch.
Yep. Batman and Robin Batman and Robin capture the whole Archer gang, including Maid Marilyn.
So it's over.
Yep.
There seems to be a woman on the street there too that I believe it's played by Kitty Kelly. Maybe yeah. And I'm like, is she part of the group? Because she looks like what we normally would expect of a villain's mall to look like. She looks like a more younger uh model figure. But I guess she's not part of the group because I don't think we see her again in the episode.
No, and in the credits they have her as the third poor person.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm thinking of but I might be thinking of another actress. But anyway, there's a younger actor, but she seems like she's in old English like costuming. She doesn't look like she's in like modern dress, right?
Yeah, she wasn't in modern dress. I honestly forget what she was wearing, so
Yeah.
can't comment too much on it, but I think she was, if I remember right, she was dressed to look kind of poor, or their attempt at making them look poor.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird thing, but anyway, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Back at police headquarters, Commissioner Gordon informs Batman that Gotham City is in an uproar. The Archer has been glorified by everyone, and the poor people have pooled their money together to make his bail. 50,000 smackers in bottle, let's see, let me, 50,000 smackers in milk bottle deposit money, which would probably have gone for food. Now, I got to say, I thought it was interesting that Chief O'Hara used the word smackers here. because my boys made fun of me when we used to play Monopoly all the time, and I would say smackers or smackaroos. So I thought that was unusual. So I I don't remember this episode, of course, but I'm wondering if it's possible that I picked up that lingo from watching this series when I was a kid.
Wow. If you were going to pick up lingo from any character, the fact that you would pick up lingo from Chief O'Hara is amazing to me. Like that's something I wouldn't ever imagine. But and I guess also overlooked the fact that, it's a different kind of cruelty when the Archer and his gang are distributing money to the poor in quarter rolls. It just like that just seems pretty mean to the poor people. Like here, have all these quarters. It's like that's pretty rough.
But if you think about it, though, quarters were worth more back then.
Well, yes, true, but I mean they weighed more and they're kind of clunky and they got to pick them all up and yeah, I mean it just yeah. I mean visually it looked pretty cool, but I guess
The,
more
the other
than
thing the other thing I'm going to point out, they used to use coins more back in olden times,
oh yeah.
like during Robin Hood's time. So maybe that's why they chose to use coins there.
It could be, could be. I get it. It's just, I mean, it just seems like it's a lot heavier and a lot like, it's one thing for dollar bills to be floating from the sky. It's another thing to be plunked on the head by a quarter roll. I like here, poor people, like, ouch, ow, or they break and if they hit the ground, they scatter everywhere, and you got to pick them up. It's just like, oh, thanks, Archer, we really appreciate it.
You just made me think of the Batman 89 scene where the Joker dumps money on Gotham City. How different would that have been if he had dropped a bunch of coins?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, it's that would be more like the Joker that we know, right? Like, and all these like coins would be dropped from like tall buildings height and like and destroy people, embed themselves into people's flesh. That sounds more like the Joker that we all know all too well.
Yeah.
Not this Joker in this show, and certainly not this Archer. But yeah, I did think it was kind of cruel. But in any case, it just points to the fact that yeah, his goal is not really going to be to give to the poor. It's only a ruse.
The Archer made a statement to the public right after he was bailed out. Thank ye, patriots of Gotham City. Thank ye for thy faith. Let it be known to one and all, I have forsworn my deeds of the past. Rich people of Gotham City, thee make quite no more of thy boots. Yea, and fairly, I shall no longer rob thee. I also got to say that was fun trying to. I don't know how many times I had to rewind it and rewatch it to catch what the heck he was saying.
Yeah. The Archer and his crew are all speaking, old English, quote unquote, except for Maid Marilyn, who has just got this sort of brush street accent.
Yeah, she
Uh,
makes a comment about it later. We'll get to that in a little bit. Back at the Batcave, Batman and Robin consult the Bat File computer trying to uncover the Archer's real name. It comes up with Earl Huntington, Archer Range, 88 Sherwood Avenue, Gotham City. In the background, Alfred could be seen cleaning on the atomic pile and then climbs down the ladder. I wanted to point that out because we see Batman and Robin are busy at the Bat File computer, and you can see Alfred in the background. He's up on. You don't. We don't see it that many times during the series, or we don't. At least we talked about not seeing that many times somebody being up there, but it's happening more often than we that I remembered,
Well,
anyways.
yeah, because I mean, in the first two episodes, I mean, the second episode, someone dies by falling. So, and I think Batman says something like he's going to make it more secure, but yet we still, I mean, there's only three of them down there. So, I mean, it's not like they have visitors all the time. But I do think it's interesting. I don't know if they're actually suggesting or they reveal in this that the Archer's real name is Huntington. I don't know if we're supposed to infer that that's his real name, but just for completion's sake, completion's sake, the Archer in the comics, his real name was Fenton Quigley. So they are not using that if they are using the same character from the Superman comics. But my fear, I don't know. While watching this, I don't know the Archer very well in the comics. He was only, I think, in a few issues in the early days of Superman, but um, I don't know that they were really trying to bring that character to life so much as they were just looking for uh, a character, a Robin Hoodish character. And so yeah, I don't know if uh and and they didn't go with Arrow or Green Arrow, which I mean Green Arrow was around at the time that he was a hero in DC Comics, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. But in any case, so that's what his name is in the comics. They suggest here that his name is Huntington in the show.
Alfred goes to the Earl Huntington archery range to buy some arrows when he is challenged by Archer to an archery match. They make a wager on the outcome. Maid Marilyn is eating hot dogs and telling Little John and Crier Tuck that they need to have subtitles when they talk, like in the foreign pictures. Elsewhere, Batman and Robin have discovered Archer's secret lair. Holy Inquisition! Robin thinks this is the most frightening chamber of horrors he's ever seen.
Now, I'm not doubting the Boy Wonder. However, we have remarked on more than one occasion that some of the villain lairs look like torture chambers, medieval torture chambers. This one certainly has that look to it, and it's certainly got devices there that we'll see implemented, right? Um, but compared to Catwoman's lair,
That's the
which
one that came to mind, too.
exactly, which looked like it was something out of a Roger Corman, Edgar Allan Poe story movie. Okay, Robin, if that's how you feel. But I mean, I'm not, don't mean to dismiss his feelings about this, but yeah. Now, that one wasn't shot at an angle, so maybe that alone made it more threatening to him. So
On the archery range, Alfred hits the bullseye. Archer fires his arrow and splits Alfred's arrow in half. Alfred takes his next shot and splits Archer's arrow in half. Archer takes his second shot and splits Alfred's second arrow in half. Archer tells Alfred they will continue until someone misses splitting an arrow.
now, how badass is it that Alfred can do this? Like, we expect the archer to be good, not just good, but great, an expert marksman, right?
Yep.
Who could see that coming from Alfred? So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was.
so I appreciate that a lot. So given Alfred some skills, and unfortunately, yeah, it goes downhill from there for him.
Suddenly, Maid Marilyn notices a flashing red light bulb. She informs Archer that someone is in their secret lair. She hits a button on the cash register, and in Archer's secret lair, Batman and Robin are caught up in a net. When Alfred tries to leave, Archer and his men take him captive. Archer returns to his lair and cuts down Batman and Robin with an arrow. Batman and Robin are strung up by their thumbs after not revealing the location of the Batcave.
It really surprised me that Batman and Robin were okay. So it didn't surprise me that they were trapped because, or that they were caught in the lair. But right at the end of that scene, they're caught, and then Batman says, I'm going to use my bat something to get out of this, right? And then it cuts. And then we go back into the lair, and they're still in the net, but they're not really moving much. So I thought they were just, dummies. Like they that they were, going to hide because they had actually freed themselves and then set it up so that the villains would think that they were in there still. But nope, they're in there still. So whatever Batman had as far as his plan to get out did not work. So that was unfortunate.
Archer threatens to kill Alfred unless Batman reveals the location to the Batcave. Archer has Alfred put in a guillotine, and they pull the lever when Batman doesn't give up the location of the Batcave. Alfred is all right. It was just a stage magician's guillotine.
Now,
Batman knew Alfred was not in any danger.
now, props to Alfred because he didn't know and he could have given up the location, but he did not. And so I give Alfred, I think they say to him like, you get a kick out of being out of doing this detective work, don't you? And he's like, I anything any way I can serve you, I live for, right? So he's really on, he's on Team Bat and he's willing to do it. But, we don't really see his point of view. But I mean, he's going into that guillotine and he could just be like, I'll tell you everything. Like, you're about to cut my head off. I will tell you whatever you want to know. Um, but he does not. So, the fact that, that he goes through that, um, I think shows a lot of his character and he's the MVP of this episode for me.
Won't argue with you on that. Archer challenges Batman to a sporting proposition and slaps him in the face with his glove. Batman accepts the challenge. I saw that scene, right, and immediately my mind flashes to Robin Hood Men in Tights, where I think it's isn't it Prince John slaps him with his glove, and then Robin Hood takes that iron fist and smacks it back. I so wanted Batman to smack the Archer back, but all he does is just throw the glove on the ground.
He just throws
I
it on the
was like,
ground.
I was disappointed. I was like, come on, Batman. And Robin are tied to red poles with feathers on top.
Yeah, some fair
Ar-
contest this is.
Archer and his gang Archer and his gang charged at Batman and Robin on horseback with jousting lances. Doth this doth this foul deed spell finis for the Cape Crusaders? Whilst the dynamic duo escape to fight again, the villainous swine who threaten home and hearth. Take heart, citizens. The answers to these and other pointed inquiries tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
The Yeah, I mean, it's not a fair fight, that's for sure. They're all tied up, so who knows how they're going to get out of this. But it it it's okay. I must admit as a season and I know that season premieres are a little bit different the way we look at them than they were, in the 60s. Um, but I think, if we take the time to look at what was going on in the 60s and when this aired, like I said, I think having Art Carney be the bad guy was a big deal. That was going to be a ratings boon. And plus, they didn't have to work as hard because they were like, look, Batmania is running wild. The first season was a hit. The movie was a hit. We're riding high. This is great. So let's we don't have to pull out all the stops for a season premiere because we're doing really well. We're doing no wrong, and there's still a lot of absurd stuff happening here. There's I think I think Art Carney's performance is kind of lackluster, to be honest with you. But I mean, I don't know if we ever see the Archer again. I don't think so. I think this is his, one story and done. And but um, and there's a reason that I don't really remember this one, because of that. But watching it, it's still pretty entertaining. I was like, I mean, it's still. They catch the bad guy early, and they have the fight, and they catch the bad guy early, and you're like, well, okay, now what? Like, now what are we doing? And yet they find a loophole to get out of it, and the stuff with Alfred, um, being an expert archer as well as going through the guillotine thing, I think is pretty solid. So there's some cool stuff here for sure, but it does kind of feel like a little bit flat as a premiere goes, right?
Yeah, have to agree with that.
So yeah, so let's look forward to see how they're going to get out of it. And see, I don't know what strange way they could use the lightning hits the pole or something and freeze them. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, something weird's going to happen. At least next week we'll have the return of Magic Batman.
Oh yes, our yeah, season 2 of Magic Batman. Yeah, because we missed him. He wasn't. We didn't really need him for the movie.
Nope, not really. I guess he could have told us if Batman was going to get rid of that bomb or not. But all right, well, that wraps up another episode. Do you have a shout out, Mike?
I do. I don't. I think we might have discussed this a couple weeks ago when we did our finale with the Penguin, and I'm not sure exactly when the stars are going to align and the podcasting things are going to align as far as when episodes are going to come out and all that kind of stuff. But I just want to say that I want to give a shout out to Earth Station DCU because I had the pleasure of being on there to talk about the new Penguin series for the first episode and for the last episode of the series, and we reviewed the entire run. I mean, you guys did review the entire one episode by episode. I was there for the beginning and the end, but it was really cool to join you and Cletus to talk about that. And what a amazing series it was. I definitely encourage people to check that out. I think it's a great performance by almost everybody involved as far as on behind the scenes as well as in front of the camera. I think it was really an amazing series, and a lot has been said about, maybe the not successful big movie that the Joker had this summer, but not enough has been said about how good the Penguins series was. And I'm really looking forward to that universe continuing I guess in the next movie. I don't know if we're going to get anything before that, but another show or something like that. But the Matt Reeves Batman universe is stronger for it. So, but it was fun joining you guys. So I appreciate the invite, and it's always good to talk to you guys about Batman related things and other things too.
Yeah, I have to say, if you haven't checked out the Penguin series on Max, it is awesome. So very good, well done. So yeah, check that out. Those Penguin. Well, by the time this episode comes out, those Penguin episodes should be coming out too. So
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, it should be around the same time. So, yeah, yeah, the timeline is really messed up as far as when we record and when we release these. We're going to get better about that. That is our goal for 2025 is to be better about that. So you're probably in 2025 now listening to this. So, we will be on a much tighter schedule, I think, but more timely when we do our shout outs and whatnot. So, But we appreciate you guys hanging in with us.
All right. And for my shout out, since we had the Archer as the villain this week, I thought it'd be a good thing to shout out Green Arrow.
Green Arrow,
Actually, I
the
didn't bring
Emerald
up my.
Archer.
Can you see it?
I can see the top of it.
There we go. Yeah.
There
This
we go.
is Green Arrow by Jeff Lemire.
Oh, good run. He had a
Yeah.
really good run on that.
This is Cletus's hardback. He loaned it to me, so he
Yeah.
really wanted me to read the series and check it out. It's a really good run of the Green Arrow.
Yeah, I think the artwork is by, is it Andrea Sorrento? Did the artwork on?
Yes,
Yeah, really
yes,
great, really great. The cover looks very reminiscent of the Arrow series, Stephen Amell. I mean, that looks, I mean, and there's some elements to that because I think Diggle's in it. Um, but
yes, he
uh
is.
but no, I really love the storyline that Jeff Lemire came out with for that run. That was really solid. I have the trades for those, and that was really a good read. So yeah, good call there.
Yeah,
A lot of great Green Arrow stories out there. A lot of great Green Arrow stories. And I'm glad that the '60s show didn't decide, hey, let's just make Green Arrow a bad guy. Although that would have been interesting. But because at the time in the '60s, he was still kind of like comics wise, he was still kind of a Batman clone. Like he was a rich guy that had a sidekick and they had a arrow car and they had like they had I mean he was kind of like Batman except he
yeah,
was like a Robin Hood guy. You know, he was dressed like Robin Hood and he had trick arrows instead of a utility belt. Um but he really came into his own in the Silver and Bronze Age, I think. And even to this day there's been some really great Green Arrow stories. So
yep.
nicely done. I
All
didn't know
right,
they
all
made
right.
it in hardback. That's an oversized hardback too. That looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a deluxe edition for sure.
Yeah, that looks great because Andrea's artwork looks is spectacular. So that's worthy of that too. So good job.
If you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line 317-455-8411. Leave us a message, text us, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. Are you ready to get out of here, Batchum?
BatChums ready to move out. Still ready. Still ready to move out.
Sorry, I lost it. Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Don't worry. This can get worse. The worst is still yet to come. We're on season 2, but we know we can still get worse.
Yes, we just proved that.